Welcome, listeners. I am your host, Jonathan Yamasaki, with my co-host,
Ryan Clark, a little bit under the weather, so hopefully I won't sound completely like crap this whole entire podcast.
You still sound amazing with your raspy voice.
People love my voice. I hate it. I tell you, I don't know. I don't get it.
It's so signature, man.
Yeah. Your else's signature only having one arm. That doesn't mean that's good.
Well, welcome all listeners to Go Entrepreneur Yourself, a podcast where we bring you local entrepreneurs and leaders from around the country to share their story about adversity, triumph, and their business. So we're thrilled for today's podcast because we bring you an incredible entrepreneur who has created his own record label in Arizona.
Let's go.
Finding inspiring artists and bringing them to the limelight of Dream Hustle Records.
Yes, sir.
Tim Hardin, also known as Saucegawd.
Hey.
Hopefully I said that right.
You said it right, John.
Good.
You said it right. It's all good, man.
We'll be sharing his journey of creating his own record label and becoming a springboard to underrated local artists. So thank you so much, Saucegawd. Appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you guys.
I've been very excited to have this one.
Yeah.
Pretty much ever since we started the podcast, I've been like, man, we got to get Tim in here. Mainly because you are just a character.
Oh,
I mean, I don't think I've ever not seen you smiling.
Yeah, man.
It's been really good. So
Thanks, brother.
before we get into everything, Dream Hustle and everything else, we're going to start off with Fast Five. It's just 5 quick questions, just to warm you up a little bit.
Boom.
You know?
Let's
All right.
go.
What musician do you think would make the best president and why?
Oh, man, Stevie Wonder.
Why?
Because justice is blind, baby. Let's go.
All right, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, my superpower, I would want to read minds.
Really?
Yes, that way people couldn't lie to me.
Like, would you want to have a control over that? Because
No, I just would want to know like exactly what's going on. What you're thinking right now, like, man, this dude is even crazier than I thought. You know?
Yeah, it's pretty invasive. It's like you wanna like look into the girl's shower room, like you wanna read people's minds. It's kind of the same thing.
It's almost like Google's Alexa, you know what I mean? Like they hear everything, the next thing, boop, oh,
You just want to be there.
I just want to be there.
All right, worst pizza topping.
Ooh, anchovies.
Have you ever had anchovies on pizza?
No,
Really?
it just looks nasty.
See, I never have either. Everyone always says that it's nasty, but nobody's really ever eaten it.
Yeah.
So pineapple's good though?
Pineapple, oh yeah, 1000%.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not friends anymore.
Also too though, I don't know if you know this or not. I read this on LinkedIn, but it was saying that I don't know if it was LinkedIn or I saw it somewhere, maybe IG, but it said pineapples are 5,000% more effective than regular cough medicine because of some type of nutrient that's in there that helps alleviate the cough. So
put pineapple's not honey in your tea, and then you'll be just fine.
Exactly. You're
That's what I need. I need to start eating more pineapple.
There you go, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, the ladies
Perfect.
love it.
Oh! That's the first thing that came to mind.
Right? See? And that's why I want to read minds and be like, okay, were you really thinking there? You just gassing me.
Gotcha. Best piano player not named Tim Hardin.
Oh, man. Best piano player not named Tim Hardin. I would have to go with my great late grandmother, Evelyn Jackson. She's the one who taught me piano. But if you want somebody that's still here in the land of the living, we could go with can I give you 3?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'll give you 2 famous and then one who's not as famous, but who was my own mentor. So I'll go John Legend. He's incredible. Alicia Keys.
Ooh, yeah.
She's incredible. Yeah, 1,000%. And the last guy, his name's Buddy Strong. He's actually here local in Arizona, in Phoenix. He's been my mentor. He went on tour with Usher. He played for Barack Obama's inauguration. He's traveled the world doing music. He's played with the Dave Matthews Band, on tour with them. I think he's on tour with them currently right now.
Oh,
and, yeah, his name's Buddy Strong, and he's just phenomenal. He plays keys, organ, drums, bass, you name it. And he's an amazing singer.
Wow, he's his own band.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, man. So Buddy Strong. So I highly recommend you guys check him out.
And finally, what is your first purchase when you make your first $1 million?
Man, my first purchase when I make my first $1 million, I'm gonna buy
A unicorn.
Man, I know, right? yes. I'm gonna get a unicorn, a real life unicorn. They're about 20,000, 30,000. So
Yeah, and for some of those who don't know, for Dream Hustle Records, on their logo, there's a unicorn.
boom, that's right, man.
It's literally on my list of questions is what's the story of the unicorn? So we're definitely going to get to that in a little bit.
Yeah,
but what's your first purchase other than a real life purchase? I mean, you're not going to super glue a horn to a horse.
To a horse and be like,
Yeah, that's a unicorn.
Put a DH on there.
Right, tattoo it.
Tattoo it really quick. No problem. First million, man. I would say, buy my mom or my dad a house, but they just recently paid off their house, so maybe like a vacation home or something like that. You know, just a solid investment, you know, or maybe like an apartment building. That's always been a big dream of mine. Own a 60-unit apartment building, paid for it free and clear, and just retire, just chill. So first million, yeah, big investment.
All right, so Dream Hustle Records.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the unicorn.
Let's talk about the unicorn, man.
Okay, let's talk about the name Dream Hustle and the unicorn. Yeah. Where's this all coming from? Because I mean, when you think of like the world of record labels and especially in hip hop, you know, unicorn and rainbow colors usually aren't the first things that come out.
Exactly, right?
So is that why?
You're right. No, that's a part of it though, right? So one day, it was probably like a couple years ago. My car was broke down at the time, and I was walking to the bus, and it was raining, and it just came to me. I was like, man, you know what? I helped, because I used to be in this hip hop band. Just a little background. I used to be in a hip hop band called the Shinobi Clan, and we would be I'd get us in the studio every Monday, just on the strength of my relationship with the producers and the engineers, and we would rehearse and we recorded music that they already had, and I was just a keyboard player, right? And I'd helped 3 other people get into the studio as well. So out of those 4 people, only 1 actually released like the music, and we actually made money off of it, right? So I'm like thinking to myself, like, man, if we're gonna do all this work, all this time, all this effort and energy, like I need to be in a position where I'm able to have influence on the music and what happens with the music after the work has been done, right? So that's when I thought to myself, I was like, man, I helped 4 people in 1 year get in the studio, and that was without no structure, that was without no organization, that was without no support or no help. If I really structured this, and if I really, put my focus and efforts and energy to this thing, I could help 20 people get in the studio, right? So I was walking, and at first I was like, man, I should call it like Hardin Records or something like that, right? And you always got to have tastemakers to what it is that we do, right? So I asked my kid sister, she's like 22, she was like, Hardin Records, that sounds stupid. Right? So I was like, damn, shot down. And I was like, you're right, that is a stupid name. I hate my name, right? Like, I'm from Detroit, right? And like,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. But like, I've always hated my name, Timothy Hardin. Hey, Timothy's looking for you. Ain't nobody scared of no Timothy from Detroit. Okay?
Timothy's my middle name. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? Ryan's a dope name. Jonathan, that's a dope name. Timothy. Okay. So anyways, I was like, man, what is it that I could name this that would be original, that'd be authentic, and that would ring true, not only for myself but for anybody else who loves music and has a dream. And then it just hit me. I was like, man, Dream Hustle Records. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, this is cool. And then God told me, I'm not trying to go super spiritual, but God told me, he was like, hey, count the letters in your name. And I was like, what? He was like, count the letters in your name. So I counted all the letters in my name, Timothy David Hardin Jr., and there's 20 letters. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, the 2020 project. I'm going to sign 20 artists and drop 20 EPs by January 1st of 2020. So that's how I came up with Dream Hustle Records. That's where we got the name from. The unicorn comes from the moniker, right? If you look at other businesses, let's say Walmart, you look at an Amazon, you look at a Coca-Cola, you look at a Nike, all of those are, not only are they just businesses, they're brands, right? And those brands are synopsis with their product or their service that they sell, right? So when I started Dream Hustle Records, it was with the thought process of, hey, let's make Dream Hustle, I want Dream Hustle Records to be on the same playing field one day as Sony, right? And when you think of Sony is a unicorn brand, right? Nike is a unicorn brand. Walmart is a unicorn brand. Amazon, unicorn type of brand. So I was like, yeah, we're going to use the actual unicorn.
I mean, it's not too crazy. I do believe that the unicorn is the national animal of Scotland.
Boom.
Believe it or not.
I believe it.
Not even joking.
Yeah, you've never lied to me before.
And I could actually see you being very successful in this, because ultimately, knowing you, being a spiritual person that you are, and a good person, is that you're really not just doing this for yourself. You wanted 20 artists, 20 EPs. You're doing this for other people.
Yes.
More recently, there was a story that you talked about, and I want you to kind of walk us through it really quick, just to get the listeners to know a little bit about you.
Absolutely.
You were in line at a store. Somebody couldn't pay for the groceries. Go for it.
Yeah. So it was around. You went deep. Okay.
I read it when you posted it, man. I was like, I love this guy.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So this happened probably this was a few years back when this actually happened. It was around Christmas time, and we were at Walmart, and I could tell that they were out of town, foreigners. I don't know if they're from like Canada or Scotland or whatnot, but for whatever reason, their credit cards or their debit cards or whatever form of purchase that they had wasn't working, and they had it was a young gentleman, his wife, and then the grandmother and the baby. And the baby's crying. It's holiday season at Walmart, so it's crazy packed in there. And I could see he had like diapers, he had Similac and stuff like that. And
parents' worst nightmare.
Parents' worst nightmare, man. I'm telling you, I got a lot of kids. You don't want to have them problems. So I just felt bad for the guy, and I was like, the guy was like, yeah, you're gonna have to just go and get some other funds, and we'll just leave your cart here, and we'll just hold your stuff or whatnot. So like they start to walk off and leave, and I look at their cart, and the guy, he starts ringing me up, and after he rang myself up, because it took me some time to like think about like, hey, should I do this or not? I was like, you know what? Go ahead and put all their stuff on my bill too. Mm. Just go ahead and put, like, there was a cart full of stuff. I was like, just go ahead and put all their stuff on mine. He was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, man, I'm sure. Go ahead. Just go ahead. And I ran out to Walmart, went, chased him down. I was like, hey, come back in. Come get your stuff.
Yeah, that's kind. Honestly, that's kind. And seeing kindness like that really sparks kindness through everybody else.
Yeah, man.
So that's good.
Thanks, man. I know what it's like to be in a situation like that, and not in that situation where I was trying to purchase this stuff, but not even being able to purchase the stuff that I wanted to get. You know what I mean? So, whenever I have an opportunity to give back or to help someone in need, I definitely try to take advantage of that and help them out the best I can.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're going to be successful in this business, because you're selfless.
That's what it's about. Thanks, man.
Not a lot of that in the music industry.
Right. No, there's not.
And then because you're trying to get the sound out there, I'm assuming from like local artists here in Arizona, what are you doing to help a lot of those artists who maybe don't have access or opportunities to like a record label, like a Sony, a Warner Brothers? Like, what are you doing to try to help sonic their career in here in the music industry?
Absolutely. So, quick story. I used to want to get signed with. I've submitted music to Sony, or not to Sony, but to Warner Brothers for like a Neo project. I've tried to get on with Capitol Records before, and they shut me down too. So one of the things that I try and do is really I just try to have an artist development type of program, if you will. Bringing on artists that don't have a following, right? They haven't made it big yet. That's really what last year was about, just bringing on brand new artists and then just helping them grow and hone their craft. So like whether that's bringing in more talented singers around them that can like help mentor them, we'll do that. We'll bring in live musicians for their music too.
That's good. So it's not just buttons.
Yeah, no, it's not just buttons. Yeah, no, I'm real big on the live instrumentation.
That's awesome.
Also, too, just I do my best to have an open door policy. All my artists, they have my number. They can call me at any time, as well as any of our label execs. And really, it's just like a family that we just try and grow and build together. I do my best to go to all of their shows and support all of their events. I'll even play for their events. Really just being their team that they don't have, and then slowly but surely taking those training wheels off and then be like, okay, you know how to do this now, right? Like for instance, last year we took a group of our artists to the BET Music Awards, right? And a lot of them, some of those artists probably hadn't even been out of Arizona, let alone to a major music award show like that, and have their own music that they're either working on or people that they're able to network with and meet and stuff like that. So we just try to do different things like that just to show them like, hey, your goals and your dreams aren't too far away from where you want to be at if you just put in the hard work.
So it kind of seems like, I don't know how to, for lack of better words, it's like a mentorship, leadership program in music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what I was going to kind of get at. It's with the advent of the internet, streaming services, YouTube, people getting good computers with Pro Tools. It's like, you look at these big record labels, they're not having to print CDs anymore.
That part.
They're not, because that's usually what it was. It was like, I have the music, you have the distribution.
Exactly.
You can get it out there, and then we take cuts. But without, you don't really need that stuff anymore. So what is the advantage of being with a record label like yourself now versus me just buying Pro Tools, learning how to use it, recording my own, and then putting it out myself?
Absolutely. So one of the advantages that we have is our network, right? There's a saying that says that your network is your net worth, right? So like me, for instance, let's say I didn't have the backing of Dream Hustle Records, and let's say I just wanted to put out my own music or whatever, and I posted it to my 500 friends on Facebook. Okay, that's great, but do you have the contacts to be able to get in touch with the radio heads and the local radio stations and the DJs? Do you have the connections with the musicians to be able to have live instrumentation, and not even just live instrumentation for when you're making your song that one time? That's cool, but what about doing a tour? Like last year we were heavily thinking about doing a tour. Also too, we took a couple of artists and we did a music video in Vegas, right? Do you have those resources to be able to do that? So like one person can do something great all by themselves. Like I look at it this way, like LeBron James, right? Great basketball player, phenomenal basketball player. He's a great basketball player just like at the park, but it's a totally different thing to be on the Lakers. Not saying that Dream Hustle Records is the Lakers, we're probably,
So you're pretty much like going along the lines of it like takes a village to raise a kid type deal.
It does, right? Because like you need an entire team, and basically that's what we do. And then if you look at any of like the major like artists nowadays, right? They'll be like, oh, I'm independent, but then they will wind up signing to a label.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Why do they do that? Right? Because it allows them the ability to leverage that label's resources, leverage that label's time and efforts and energy. So instead of you doing everything yourself, you now have a team that can do all that for you. And for us, really, that's the competitive advantage versus you just doing it yourself. Not saying that you can't, not saying that it might not even be better than what we could come up with you. But with us, you have a team that's going to be able to give you multiple opportunities and be able to work on your project even when you're not working on it, right? Whereas if you're just doing it yourself, as soon as you put the plow down, then it stops.
So what were the kind of challenges when you were like putting together this team of people in not only getting them to see your vision and believe in it and trust in it as well, but also the challenges of financing all this, the challenges of signing people, signing people and paying everybody what they're just due. What were the challenges there?
So the biggest challenge was going from Tim, the keyboard player, to Saucegawd, the executive of Dream Hustle Records, right? Getting people to see me differently, right? And that was the challenging part because you have to be consistent. You have to continue to show up, whether other people show up or not, right? You have to meet with artists. You have to listen to them as well. Like some people I had to turn down and be like, or I wouldn't necessarily turn them down, but I'd be like, okay, well, if you want us to work with you, this is what our fee would be if we were to make an album with you, right? You make it a really crazy number so that way they're like, oh, okay, yeah, no thanks. Right? But that way you're not hurting their feelings, but at the same time, business is business. Another thing was like, I used to be in the studio, right, for like the last 3 years. So from like 2015 to 2018, before I started the label, I was always in the studio. I had an engineer, and him and I I just go in there and I play keys to whatever tracks he have, and then we just make like production sessions and just make music, right? And just see, like we submitted some music to Neo. He actually ended up getting a gold plaque for doing some Latin music. But when I told him, I was like, hey, I'm gonna start a label, he was like, no, man, don't do that, you know? So it's like, man, like, you know how much I love music, because I'm here creating music with you for free, you know what I mean? And like, we're both exchanging and using each other's gifts and talents, and you're trying to discourage me from doing it. But once you start, you have to like weed through. You just have to go through a lot of people, and you have to be unashamed and really just fearless of your goals and your dreams of what it is that you want to do, and then tell everybody, right? And it's almost like just throwing paint at the wall and seeing what sticks. Mm-hmm. Whoever sticks with you, that's who you run with. That's who you go with. In terms of financing, luckily I was in a position where I was able to use a lot of my network and a lot of the people that I already knew to get things at a much affordable rate, whereas if somebody else was to just do it off the street, in terms of like studio time, videography, photography, musicians, all of that stuff, because they already know me here, right? So I was able to fund it and finance it all out of my own pocket without going into debt. So now it's like year 2, and it's like, okay, that was cool. We built a base, we built a foundation. People see that we're real and that we're here. Now let's go ahead and get funded. You know, now we have like executive vice presidents, and we have head of A&Rs now, and so now it's like, okay, let's get funded now, so everybody's not just working off of sweat equity, if you will, right? And let's add some gasoline to the fire.
And then I want to go deeper into finance, but before I get there, because you were talking about how you were building relationships with local artists, and sometimes when artists work on record labels, their boss will give constant input and critique on their music. So what do you do when you're working with your clients in helping them keep their sound? Because that's another big thing that I'm sure a lot of them are like, I don't know if I want to change it that way. Right. This is what I like.
Right. So one thing, as you know, Jonathan, we all are in sales or have been in sales, right? So really it's just selling them on the greater good of the music, right? Because a lot of artists get caught up in, I just want to have like the perfect sound, I just want it to be the perfect CD or the perfect EP or the perfect album or whatnot. But I read this quote, and it said, the person that wants to do everything perfect does nothing in his life, or does nothing in an area of his life perfectly, right? So let that go and just be an artist and just create and put something out, because I constantly get emails from companies where we're able to submit music that are looking for like commercials for music, or movie scores for music, or a TV show wants some music or whatnot. And if you're stuck on your sound being perfect, you know, like maybe we just need an Old Town Road type of vibe or type of sound, you know what I mean? And that could pay us, you know, $250,000, but you want to be stuck on your sound, like that's not benefiting us. So really, in terms of working with the artists, I do everything that I can to partner with them, right? Like, at the end of the day, the buck stops with me, but also too, like I'm here to support your goals and your dreams, and to be the life support of your music, right? It's just like, it's like doctor's orders almost, if you will, right? If you keep trying to run up out of the bed and the doctor's like, no, you need to sit there for a week and rest and recoup, you know, you're going to only end up hurting yourself. And that's unfortunately what ends up happening with this big wave that we have right now of like people wanting to be independent. I just want to be independent, Okay, well that's cool and all, but sometimes it's good to take critique and criticisms from someone who's looking at it from an unemotional standpoint.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, would you like what do you want? Would you rather be highly successful with your music, and your music's in video games, and your music's on movie scores, and your music's on TV shows, and you're famous, and you're doing all these live shows, or you did your music your way and nobody knows about it?
Yeah, I mean, back in the 90s, it was really big deal to have one of your songs on a soundtrack.
That part.
Movie soundtracks are winning awards in the 90s. They were. Compilations, the whole now, what is it, 150,000 by now?
154.
Yeah,
But it's, I can't tell you how many songs and artists that I was influenced by where I was like, I probably would have never found out about them if I wasn't watching that episode of Breaking Bad.
Right. Exactly.
I'm like, who is this? Who is this? So it's huge.
It reaches more people that way.
And on top of that, I mean, it's a really big revenue driver because you're looking at residuals. Yes. Every time that episode is playing on television, you get paid.
The royalties, yeah.
Yes.
And then as a record label owner, when you're talking with all these artists, when do you walk away from an artist?
So I have an executive vice president, and he really carries more of the brunt of the. If I'm the principal, he's the vice principal, right? He really carries like the brunt of the interactions with the artists in terms of what it is that they want, what they want to do, their thoughts and ideas and stuff like that. And for me, he was like one of the first people that like truly believed, just like you, like was one of those first people that was like, man, I'm with you. Like this is gonna be amazing. Like this is dope, you know. So those people, those are like jewels to me, right? Because I cherish individuals like that because they believe in me and they don't have to. You know what I mean? So when I see them starting to stress out about something, or I start to see artists start to try and take advantage of them, or when I see artists be disrespectful towards them, then that's when I start taking it personal, and then that's when I'm like, okay, we need to let this person go. And just to give you an idea, right, of things that we've done as a label, because a lot of artists, they'll talk bad about like labels and all this, that, and the other. Even artists that we've worked with, they'll talk bad about us and whatnot. And I'm not saying that we've been perfect. I'm not saying that we've always done right by everyone. But it's always been our hearts and our intent to do right by everyone, right? Regardless of what that individual may say or think. But at the end of the day, we are running a business and not a charity, right? I volunteered at my mom's church for 10 years, so I know what it's like to volunteer and to work at a nonprofit. And now I'm running a business, right? So at the end of the day, it's about being profitable. But we've helped artists, we've allowed artists to stay in our homes when they didn't have a place to stay. We've given artists money when they didn't have money or food to eat. We've gone above and beyond for so many different artists, and that's why now I sleep well at night. Just to be honest with you, man.
And I really appreciate that because, like we were mentioning earlier, about some record labels are all about the money and it's very cutthroat.
Yeah.
That's so very personable that you're doing these with all your artists because it really builds that relationship, builds retention, and you stay true to your business.
Exactly. And not only that, man, Jonathan, I consider myself an artist, right? I've been playing piano. I'll be 33 this month. I've been playing piano since I was 2 years old. Okay? You know what I mean? So I truly consider myself an artist. So I've always been brought up to treat other people how I want to be treated. And even furthermore, what you put into the world is what you're going to get out of it. Right? So if you're sowing seeds of discord and hate and distrust and, you know, trying to get over on people, you may get by for a week or a month or a year or a few years or whatever, but eventually that bill's going to come. When it's your turn, karma's going to come and it's going to be your turn. So I really do everything to go out of my way for people, and then after a while, you know, when it's not working anymore, it's like, okay, I can no longer continue to justify us doing this because it's killing our time, it's killing our finances, it's killing our energy, it's killing our effort and everything that we're looking to do. We have to move on, or we have to go in a different direction. Yeah,
and then I want to talk a little bit about like any trials and tribulations that you've gone through while starting Dream Hustle Records. So talk about maybe one or two that you've gone through that where you can share those experiences to others who want to start a record label.
Absolutely. I'd say the first one that we had was finding the right studio. I know like a lot of different studio owners, we were probably in 4 different studios before we were just like, you know what, we just need to cut out the studio stuff and let the artists find the studio and let them start building and making their music and then submit it to us and then we'll push it out that way. because we get in these studios and we'd be mixing. Now, not saying that this happened every time that we were in there, right? Because we did release some music last year. We did have some finished projects, right? But there'd be times where the systems would crash, right? Yeah, and there goes all of the music for the last 3-4 sessions. And this is money that we've paid. Not only for the studio time, but for the producers and for the musicians and for the backup singers. Yeah, man, all that stuff. The photographers and the videographers, this is all money that we've put out as we're trying to build our own catalog, if you will, right? So, and then we go to try to go to a different studio and try to negotiate with them on terms and things like that. But I once heard a saying that said people aren't willing to help you if they think that you'll be able to be better than they are. Right?
Yeah.
People aren't willing to help you if they think you can become better than they are. Which is sad, unfortunately, but it's true. So one particular studio, I'm not going to name them, but they just kept. He was like, well, I'm gonna have to catch an Uber here and and I've got music and movie credits right now and all this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, well, bro, if you're killing it in the game as you say you are, because you're in movie credits and stuff, you getting an Uber here, that should have nothing to do with us making this music together and us paying you to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was one of them. Another one was actually multiple times. It's just dealing with the artists individually, right? And I'm not talking about in terms of them in front of the mic in the booth, right, spitting bars or singing or whatnot. I'm talking about all the outside stuff that they come with, right? Like for instance, one artist, they had family issues, so they had to leave, and then they wanted us to pay for them to have studio time out of state. We just got started. we would love to do that. We'd love to have an office out of state, but we are a what do they call it, a grassroots label here. You know what I mean? This is our first year. We've had other artists. They're just ungrateful and unappreciative, and they wanted to be in on other people's studio times. Be like, no, I'm ready to go right now. This person's late, or da 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 da. And it's really just trying to make everyone happy in terms of studio time, or in terms of meeting their demands and whatnot. Of course, artists have personal issues, personal life issues, and things like that. So it's really, when you're running a label, it's like, okay, yeah, you're my friend, but at the same time, this is also my business too. So I get that you and your boyfriend or you and your girlfriend are fighting right now, but that's not my problem. Or hey, yeah, I get that you're in between jobs right now and you don't have no income coming in and all this, that, and the other, but at the same time, I have 5 kids and all my apples and oranges are into this label right now, and there's nothing that I can do to help you outside of helping you execute on this opportunity that I'm trying to provide for you. Yeah. Right? So really hard stuff like that. I think one thing I've learned is you have to have, like the name, you have to have a dream and you have to have a hustle. And your hustle has to match that dream, and your dream has to match the level of the size of your hustle as well. So it's just growing that, and then just finding those people to run with you.
Now there's a lot of different avenues for a label to draw in revenue, like we were saying, movies, television. Also things like Spotify, which obviously doesn't pay too much.
Right.
iTunes, YouTube, even on Instagram, things of that nature. Yep. What are you doing to try to get yourself onto all these platforms, and which one are actually the ones that are actually generating more revenue for you?
Absolutely. So right now, I would say actually doing live shows is what's been our biggest revenue generator, because when we're doing the live shows, one, people are paying to get in, and then 2, they're also going to either download or purchase the music right then and there. So Ryan Leslie, for instance, he's also someone that I look up to or aspire to be, right? He dropped an album. They only sold 19,000 copies, but he made over $2 million with no label. And the way they did that was live shows, merch, and streaming. So that's really been, ours has been live shows and streaming, and then we briefly looked into doing merch. We're gonna start looking into that again this year. Hopefully we'll have some merch come either the spring or the summer. But the main thing though, like with our label, because it's when it's your label, not just your label, right? Just like how this is your podcast, you can do whatever you want. Like so it's really just figuring out, okay, what is it that we want to do that's going to help us maximize our fullest potential as well as reach our goals at the same time, right? It's like, oh, we tried this, yeah, that didn't work. Okay, don't do that. Let's try this, So, but some things I want to start doing though, in terms of like movies and video games and linking with like EA Sports or even like Revolt TV, is just really start submitting more massive amount of our music to all of those different platforms, because there's hundreds of platforms out there where you can submit your music and you can have you could be potentially chosen and they'll pay you, right, for that. So looking into that, but of course you need the manpower, you need the time, the effort, the energy, all that stuff to do that. I just recently had a baby, so it's like,
like hey, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. So it's like, hey, you need to change his diaper. I'm like, I know. I also need to send out this music submission though too. But that's really where I'm at though now though. So, but yeah.
So what type of things have you done or that you're looking to do in the future of more of networking? Obviously, you need to get to know other people in these other areas to be able to show the music, like Hollywood or whatever. So what have you already done and what are you planning on doing to try to get more connections into where you want to sell the music?
Absolutely, good question. So again, really in the beginning and even now, just relying on my network, right? People that I already know that are already in the industry. People like when I was with that band, the Shinobi Clan, we went and performed at Kiss 104.7, right? Like in their radio office or whatever. I met the lady who set it up. I became friends with her. I go to like a lot of open mics and I'll meet like artists there. I know like a lot of the artists there. First Fridays, I know a lot of the people who perform down there. And just seeing what it is that they do. Because before they just knew me as Tim, the keyboard player, right? So now they know me because it's been over a year now. So now they know me as Saucegawd, the label exec. So they're like, okay, and then they'll invite me to like different things, whether it's to perform with them or to work on a project with them, and then just continuing to build that network. So one thing that we did, like when we went to the BET Awards, I met Yandy Smith out there, and through her, I was able to link up with some music people in New York. And then like recently too, we've had conversations with the consulting agency, which is Jim Jones' people.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So, and really it's just finding, again, people who believe in what it is that you're doing and then just running with those people. So it's just continuing to put myself out there, and because like I'll put out, even if it's just on IG, just going live on Facebook, right? I think Gary Vee said that's like it's equivalent to like just being in Times Square. I was just in New York. He said it's just like being in Times Square, just passing out somebody like your information or your flyer or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So I need to do more of that to get myself out there more. Because to be honest, right, we're a year in or a year and a half in or whatnot. No one knows who Dream Hustle Records is. No one knows who we are. And there's a whole world out there that can know us, and there's tons of people out there that can know us regardless of, even though I know personally probably over 50 musicians, right? And probably over 10 music execs, right? But I have to continue to throw myself out there and continue to throw the label out there and continue to push forward.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from, especially with music, it's about image.
Yes.
You gotta have good photos.
Yeah.
You have to have good videos.
Yeah, good sound.
One of the guys that shouts out to Sherman, Big Sherm, setting up the whole series of making the label off of Instagram, everything else, following your whole journey, which was very, very well done. What type of videography series do you have coming on up?
Yes. So we have Making the Label, which is our, it's connected to our YouTube channel, Dream Hustle Records. And that's really just following like our journey. And right now, I recently asked him for like Sherman's so awesome because he's able to just, shout out to Sherm, Big Sherm. He's awesome because I'll just like have these like wild dreams or wild imaginations or thoughts or what have you, and he brings it to life. So I was like, hey man, I want to do a video, a recap video of everything that we did last year, and I want that to be like our next episode for Making the Label, which is our online show that we have, where we just put out like different things.
Is it kind of where like audiences get to see you all in your element?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yes. So there's an episode on me like yelling at an artist. Right?
That's how it is sometimes.
That's how it is sometimes. There's episodes of us of me just like interviewing artists. But you have to remember, like, you know, just imagine if you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears into this, right? You're putting your last dollar towards this. You're gonna want it done how you're gonna want it done. Period. Right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and if it's not going to be done that way, you're going to be highly upset, right? But yeah, it just catches us in our own element. So right now we're working on a recap video. We just opened for Beanie Siegel, and we did a tribute song for Kobe and Gigi with this artist. His name's Tariq Trotter from New York. Shout out to Tariq. He's not signed with our label, but again, he's in our network, right? So, and that's another thing too, right? Last year I was very specific. I was like, hey, I'm only gonna work with artists that are signed to us, right? To our label. That's it. I'm not working outside of that. This year it's like, okay, awesome. We've signed artists, we can do that. We can work with the artists that are still signed with us, but let's go ahead and branch out and let's work with other people, so then that way we can get their following and we can continue to get more brand awareness and exposure and just build our brand and who we are.
One thing I kind of noticed about you is, like, you know how most people talk with their hands. You definitely do.
Absolutely.
But what our listeners can't see is how you talk with your hands is like you're playing piano.
I know, right?
You're like this. It's always back and forth. I'm just noticing. Man. I'm like, I wonder what song he's playing while he's talking to me right now.
It's the chords of my life, man. You know?
Constantly just doing this.
It's the chords of my life, man. You know, we got to build those chords, put it together, man.
I can just see you sleeping, just laying there, just doing this.
Just
in your dreams.
Like, I'm moving.
So what's the future for Tim Hardin and Dream Hustle Records?
Yeah, man. The future is just to, just continue to be humble, appreciative, and thankful, for great opportunities like this, working with amazing people like you guys, and just, truly being honored to have the opportunity to share our music with the world out there, because people don't have to listen. For every like we get on, whether it's Instagram or a YouTube video or Facebook or whatever, we're truly grateful and appreciative of it, and we just want to continue to grow. Big goals is like to do an album, right? Mm-hmm. To do my own album, that'd be like a big goal for me. Little goal, I guess, would be to just continue to provide music that people appreciate and enjoy.
So a lot of the listeners that we have here are college students, millennials, Gen Z.
Yeah.
What piece of advice do you have for them? For someone that's maybe wanting to become an inspiring artist, or wanting to start their own sort of record label. Obviously, they'd probably be competition.
No, that's all right though. That's all right. There's
the advice is sign to Dream Hustle Records.
Yeah. Come to Dream Hustle.
Join the exec team.
Join the team. Join the squad. No, man. I would say my advice to any college student or anyone that's listening is to start with the why. Why do you want to do it? Right? Do you want to just do it just to be cool, or just to be able to show off to your friends? Or do you want to do it because it's something that you love and that you're passionate about? For me, I'm just passionate about playing piano. Like Ryan just said, I play chords with my hands when I talk. So I just love creating music, and I love that process of it, right? So then it's like, okay, yeah, I love music and I love creating music. Now it's building a team of people on that business side of it, and then the creative side of it, and then marrying those two together and then making it as large as possible. So start with your why, and then once you have your why, allow yourself time to grow. Allow yourself to take baby steps to that next level, right? Like I look at my 3-year-old son, and then I look at my 3-month-old son, right? There's levels to this. One is talking and asking questions constantly, like, hey dad, where are we going? Hi dad, I'm hungry, like, where's mom? Like, he's constantly, and the other one is just yelling, screaming, crying, and that's how business is. Like your first 3 months, you're gonna be yelling, screaming, crying, like as you don't have it all together. It's not, especially if you're starting from scratch, right? Because there's different types of business. You can have a franchise business and it's just turnkey. You just check mark off the boxes. But if you're starting from scratch, okay, do you have your LLC? Do you have your bank account? Do you have your order of operations? Do you have your list of services or your products? Do you have your vendors? Do you have your connects? Do you have the people that you're going to work with? Do you have your vision statement, your mission statement? Like, what are you about? Why are you doing it? Right? So you have to get all of that stuff in line. Do you have your business plan? Do you have investors? Are you going to do angel investors? Are you going to do venture capital? And then just always continue to allow yourself time to grow, and then just time to evolve and just to become great. Like a caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly overnight, right? Same thing with your business, and the same thing with your goals or your dreams.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tim. Saucegawd, we appreciate you being here.
Saucegawd. Anything else you want to say? I mean, the floor is yours.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys, man. And I just wanted to, big shout out to Big Sherm, who's always been there, stuck by our side, and has continued to push us. Big shout out to all of our Dream Hustle record family and all of our Dream Hustle artists. Shout out to moms, if you're listening, mom, we appreciate you, love you, and shout out to wifey for allowing me the opportunity just to be myself and to ravagely chase my dreams passionately. So, and a big thank you to you guys too. I really appreciate you guys' platform and for having me.
Hi, bud. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
From your Goo-Goos, Gagas to now starting Dream Hustle Records.
Dream Hustle Records. Hey, follow us on IG, DreamHustle.Records.
This goes to prove you should buy your kid a piano at the age of 2.
Yes. Just let them bang away.
Awesome. Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in on this podcast. We'll hear you next time.